So you want to know if it's an eitzah to be mahara the bracha, to think each word of the bracha, and hopefully maybe Hirhur kedibur, that would be an eitzah. But I told him, if you think it's a good idea, if you could be yaitz with Hirhur, then you have a risk, because if you're not yaitz with Hirhur, if you are not mechuyev in the bracha, and you mahara the bracha, then it's a question of bracha levatala. If Hirhur is good for a bracha, then if it's not necessary, why is that a problem of bracha levatala? But I told him, don't worry, the Mamshik and the Tshuvas Simon Sad the Gimel writes that when he had a suffix brachas, he would say Baruch Atah, then he would think Hashem Elokeinu, and then he would continue to verbalize the rest of the bracha. So you're in good company, but the question is, why Taka isn't it a Mamanavshach? Then we had another shaila, a very, very challenging question. Someone had a problem with his voice, he had a palate, and the doctor said that the way to heal this, if he doesn't talk for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks straight, no talking whatsoever. So he asked me, of course, to Shalom Bayis, it's very good, he doesn't talk, can't get angry. But what do you do with mitzvahs? Davening, krishma, brachas, benching. I saw in a tshuva, this I didn't hear, but I saw in a tshuva, someone had a shaila where he had a very serious speech defect, and there was a new treatment that's supposed to work, that if he doesn't talk or even listen to anybody talking for a few weeks, he'll forget how to talk, and they sort of reprogram his brain, and they teach him to talk again, and he loses that very severe stutter. Now, I can't take a chayes that it works, but this is what the Paiskim discuss. What do you do for weeks as far as Torah and mitzvahs? So if you realize the crux of the issue is, what is the halachic status of Hirhur? We know Dibur is good for Krishma and for brachas and for learning. Is Hirhur an acceptable option regarding Torah and mitzvahs? Maybe I think what you really, if you want to reduce the question, I think this is really an important insight. We know talking is the way of communicating. Dibur, yaitz davening and benching. But maybe with the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol, it's enough form of communication, of connecting, maybe even Hirhur is good enough. I mean, don't forget, we say this 3 times, and if you daven Nusach Svar, 6 times a day. Yiu l'ratzayin imrei fi v'hegyoin libi lefanech. The simple meaning of that pasuk in Tehillim is, what I said and what I thought should be pleasing and acceptable in front of you. And the simple pshat in that is, when I talk to another human being, he hears what I say, but he doesn't know what I'm thinking. But Borei Olam Yadei Machshavos knows exactly what I'm thinking. And therefore my words and my thought are equally on Kaviyachol, the Rebbeinu Shalom screen. So maybe regarding davening and benching and other mitzvahs, maybe Hegyon Libi is also acceptable. And therefore maybe regarding mitzvahs, maybe Hirhur Kedibur. Now you'll say maybe if that's the case, so maybe writing also, and today everything is texting. I don't think davening should be done with texting, that's for sure. But maybe writing for Svir is good, if it's just a question of communication. So that's the sugya, and let's enjoy. What comes to mind almost automatically is the well-known Mishnah in Brachis, Daf Tezvav. The Mishnah says that you have to say Krishma. And it's a machlokes tanoim if it has to be mashmiya la'oznav. You have to be able to actually hear the Krishma. We paskin in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Samach Beis Siv Gimel, that lechatchila it should be mashmiya la'oznav, it should be audible. But let's say lo yishmiya la'oznav, it was inaudible. You're still yaitza. Aha. So what do we see l'chayra? It doesn't have to be a dibur. You don't have to hear it. So can't we assume hu adin Hirhur kedibur? But that's absolutely not true. Because when someone says something and it's inaudible, it's at least a dibur. That's Krishma. That's Kriyas Shema. Our case, a Hirhur means he's only thinking and he's not pronouncing the words. He is not verbalizing the words. That's much worse. Maybe Hirhur lav kedibur. What about the next suggestion? And for many people, this is Midi Shabbos B'Shabbatik. In many homes, the father, the Rosh Habayis, makes Kiddush, and all of the family, sons and daughters, are Yaitza by listening. How can you be Yaitza by listening to Kiddush? You're not saying anything. Maybe that's a question of Hirhur. Maybe we see from the Shemeya Ka'oina that Hirhur Kadiba works. That's also absolutely not a raya. Because when you have Shemeya Ka'oina, it's not your Yaitza because you're thinking of the Kiddush. You're not thinking of the Kiddush necessarily. You're listening to the Kiddush. And as the Gemara says, Shemeya Ka'oina. Why is the family Yaitza? Not because of Hirhur. It's because Ka'oina. They get credit as if they were holding the kais and saying the Kiddush. So in other words, there are two currencies to be Yaitza mitzvah. There is Oina, saying, even if it's not Mashmiya La'aznav, and then there's Shemeya, listening. Our question is just thinking. No verbalizing, no listening, just Hirhur, is it Kedibur or not? Maybe we'll compare this to a different case. And that is when someone is supposed to be davening, and unfortunately this is not so uncommon, and instead of davening, he's reading the words. He's scanning with his eyes. And the Paiskim say, he's absolutely not Yaitza. Why? There's no Dibur. Now, there's a Maisa of reading, but it's still not good. So maybe we could say, certainly, Hirhur, Lav Kadibur. In other words, let's put it very simply. Dibur and Shemeya definitely works. Writing, we'll soon see. Reading is not good. And the question is, in which category does Hirhur fall into? So Rabbi say, for this we have actually a Beferish Gemara. In Brachas Daf Chaf Amud Beis, and I quote, Ravina Ama Hirhur Kadiba Dami, Rav Chizda Ama Hirhur Lav Kadiba Dami. In other words, our very Shaila is a Machlaikis Gedali Amarayim. Ravina apparently holds Hirhur Kadiba Dami. Now I want to add, because this is important. We all know the Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis, that Dvarim Shebelev Einam Dvarim. What does Ravina hold? Does Ravina hold Dvarim Shebelev Habe Dvarim? The answer is no. I saw the Marshag in Chelik Dalet Yotes says Pashut not, and I'll tell you why. Dvarim Shebelev means I say something, and in my mind I'm thinking differently. So my thought is contradicting what I said. That's Dvarim Shebelev Einam Dvarim. But Hirhur, says Ravina, I'm thinking about a mitzvah. I'm thinking about Krishma, for example. And I really want to say Krishma. So up to Ravina, that's okay, that's good. Hirhur is a form of Dibur. If you want me to be Masbrit, maybe I could say, like I said earlier, by the Rebbeinu Shloim, Imrei Fi and Hegel Libi is one and the same. So if I think of Krishma, it's as good as I'm expressing Krishma. You know, we have in the Eicha, Perik Beis, Pasuk Yud Ches, Tzoak Libam El Hashem. That sounds to be a contradiction in terms, but it's not. My heart could scream. By the Rebbeinu Shloim, if I have feelings in my heart, in my mind, that's as if I said it. How about the pasuk we say in Krishma Alamita every night? Imru bilvavchem. You ever think about that? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? How do you talk with your heart? But by Bari Olam, Hegyon Libi is like Imrei Fi. I saw the Chsam Soifa in a Tshuva in Chelik Vav Siman Yotes. Kol Dava Shel Tefillah Ushebach Vaydo Berchas Hamazon Ukedoima Lemandam Hirhur Kadiba Sagi Min Atar Kishemahara Rak Belibai. Why? Yishem Hashem Mevoirach Shenasan Atar Ukedoima Derachmana Liba Boy. It seems that Ravina holds that the Rebbeinu Shloim understands your hearts. There's a communication of Hegya and Libi, of Tzoak Libam, of Imru B'Lvavchem, and that's good enough. So Ravina would hold that you say Krishma, L'chari, you could be Yaitza, just by thinking. So our speechless person would say Krishma, and davening, and benching, and brachas, just by thinking. But you can't forget that Ravina has a bar plukta. Rav Chizda says, Hirhur Lav Kadiba. Obviously, Rav Chizda holds we need a dibur, and nothing else suffices. How do we paskin? So Taisa says, Halacha Karav Chizda. The El Yerabba, The Bialacha and our Simon Samach Beis writes a Lashon very emphatically, Ein roi l'stapik b'zeh. There's nothing to talk about. Hirhur la'halacha lav kedibur. And then you'll read the Shulchan Aruch, and you'll see how beautiful every word is. In Samach Beis Siv Gimel, like I told you earlier, Tzarach la'shmiya la'oznam ha'shemaytz b'fiv. Ideally, when it comes to Krishma, it has to be audible. Im lo yashmiya la'oznav, yatsa, okay, you yotze b'di'eved, u'b'lvad she'yotzi b'svasa. Zok the Mechaber, like Rav Chizda, you cannot be yotze with Hirhur. The best is pronounce the words. It's also good if it's not audible, but you pronounced it. But if it's just Hirhur, you're not yotze, you didn't say Krishma. The second place in Kuf Aleph Siv Beis regarding Shmoyne Esrei, the Mechaber says you have to pronounce the words. In Kuf Pei Hei Beis regarding Birchas HaMazon, you have to pronounce the words. And the fourth place is by in Hilchas Brachas Reish Vav Gimel, to be Yotze Bracha, you have to pronounce the words. In other words, the Lamdan might say maybe Hirhur Lav Kediba by Krishma, it's a deraisa, but for a regular shakel on a cup of coffee, maybe Hirhur is good enough. No. The Lamdis is it's not a communication. Hirhur Lav Kediba. So who cares if it's a deraisa, the Rabbanon? What you think is not good unless you express it verbally. So our speechless fellow is in trouble. He can't be yotze with Hirhur Kediba. But there is a ray of hope. The Beis Yosef and Simon Samach Beis quotes a Orchos Chaim B'Shem Yerushalmi. Nira imachmas chayli oines acha kara krishma b'libay yotza. If a person can't talk, and our speechless fellow is definitely a chayla and an oines, yotza Hirhur Kediba. Where did the Yerushalmi get this? Listen to this. Shenema imru bilvavchem. A new kula. Taka Hirhur Lav Kediba. But oines Hirhur Kediba imru bilvavchem. We said Hegyon Libi, we said Soak Libam, and Taka, the Shalmi is going with imru bilvavchem. Okay. And I think the Hezber is, in this situation, it's enough of a communication. Now, you'll say, but we just brought the Shulchan Aruch in a few places, Hirhur Lav Kediba. The answer is both are true. Hirhur Lav Kediba for a regular person. For an oines, Hirhur Kediba. The Beis Yosef in Kuf Aleph quotes a psik that has the same exact halacha. For an oines, Hirhur Kediba, imru bilvavchem. And what's very convincing, the Ramah in Simon Samach Beis Siv Dalid quotes Rabbeinu Yoina, which is in the back of the Gemara, Daf Chesamad Beis. Rabbeinu Yoina says, if someone can't say a bracha, he's an oines or a chayla, and I'll read the lashon. Av al pi she'eni yotze dechayvasi ela b'mira yesh le lahara b'libay v'Hashem yira l'leiv. It's a pasuk in Shmuel Aleph, and then the Beis Yosef quoting Rabbeinu Yoina quotes a medrash in Tilim. Now listen to this. In Tilim, David HaMelech said, Amori hazina Hashem bina hagigi. Zogt the medrash Shoichet Toiv. David was saying, Rebbeinu Shalom, if I could talk, Amori hazina Hashem hazina. Hazina Hashem. If I can't talk, then bina hagigi, understand my thoughts. So, Zokter Ben Yoina, from this pasuk, we see again that in situations of oines, Hirhur Kediba. So, if you're thinking about it, we have a pasuk imru bilvavchem, we have a medrash, we have another medrash, Amari Hazina Hashem, and this is why, although the Shulchan Aruch says you can't be yotze with mitzvahs Hirhur Kediba, but the same Shulchan Aruch in Samach Beis, the next Siv Dalid, in Machmas Chayli, Oines Achakara Krishma Belibai, Yotza. And the Ramah is quick to bring their Rabbeinu Yoina. The Ramah later in Sadik Dalid Vav again says if a person can't daven, he should daven with Hirhur. And here we see a tremendous kula. Taka Hirhur Lav Kediba on a regular situation. But in a person of a chayla or oines who cannot daven, we say l'chayra that you could be yotze with Hirhur. The obvious question is, what's going on here? We just established Hirhur Lav Kediba. It's an unacceptable currency, Hirhur Lav Kediba. So then you say, but Einis, it works. How did that work? I mean, Einis Rachmana Patre. Okay, so you pata. But how do you make a mitzvah out of a non-mitzvah? If Hirhur Lav Kediba, how does it work? Says the Pri Megadim in Mishnah Zav Samach Beis Sif Katan Aleph, really midaraisa Hirhur Kediva like Ravina. But Chazal said you could do better. Say Krishna. But let's say it's an Einis, will rely on the daraisa and therefore Hirhur Kediva. And therefore says the Pri Megadim, therefore if someone was an Einis and said Krishma or Tefillah or benching, whatever it is, and he was Yaitza. The Pri Megadim says this in Sifkat and Beis and Eshel Avram, the Magen Avram and Kivege Kuf Pei Hey and Ramesh and Chelik Hey Sim and Dalet all seem to say that the Chiddush is b'makom Einis will paskin Hirhur Kediba, which is a murdik Chiddush. You're allowed to be Yaitza mitzvah miyakadidin with thinking. But however, if you notice, when I read the lashon of the Ramah quoting Rabbeinu Yoina, Rabbeinu Yoina's lashon is Afal pi she'ena yaitzi yedei chayvasei ela b'mira, but bimahar. Zok the Pri Chadash, in the end of in our Simon Samach Beis, that really that you're not yaitzi with her. Novas, better than nothing. Hashem yir l'leivav. The person wants you to try as hard as you can. And therefore, says the Pri Chadash, if a person, let's say, was in a situation that he couldn't bench, he was sick, so he benched b'leiv, machshava, and he had a sudden refuah shalema, and he still has the food before it's digested, he has to rebench, because he really wasn't yoitz. The Aruch HaShulchan's lashon is, it's better than nothing, but not much more. And the Mishnah Berurah, Bayos, and Samach Beis, and in Bir Halacha more emphatically, he says, you're not yoitza even a chayla or einis with here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yikvaschar for trying. But says the Mishnah Berurah and the Bir Halacha, if suddenly he had a refuah, he would have to rebench and even make another bracha. It's not even a suffix brachas lahakol derabbanan. He was not yoitza with here. But you do the best you can. Better than nothing. The big kasha on this sheet is, the Mechaber's lashon is yotza. And Taka Rabbi Kivege asked this on those that hold you not yotza. So it must be yotza in that situation. But the bigger kasha is on the Pri Megadim. How could you say you are yotza, Hirhur Lav Kediba? So maybe the Hezbollah, like we said, midaraisa, like we rely on Ravina, which is a tremendous chiddush. Or maybe the pshat is more pashut. A person has to have the best expression, the best communication possible. If someone could talk and he uses Hirhur, that's insufficient. If someone can't talk and he puts all his leiv, all his hearts into machshava, then it's good enough. If you look into Levush, and Siv Gimel and Siv Dalet of our Sim and Samach Beis, I think that's what it means to say that Dibur is Havana. If you could talk, you have to talk. If you can't talk, then in such a situation, that's the best form of communication. So Lamaisa we have the following. Hirhur is Lav Kedibur. That's klar. All agree. Let's not forget. All agree. Hirhur Lav Kedibur. We have that 4 place in Shulchan Aruch. B'makam chayla or einis, then then the person should be mahara. All agree. To what extent is it good? Pri Megadim holds you yoitza. Pri Chadash holds Bir Halacha holds you not yoitza. The nafkamina would be if you had a sudden refuah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, bench over, daven over. I did see the Teres Chaim, Chaim Seif, and Sifkat and Gimel, and the Zohar Tshuva and Simon Lamed Ches both go, I guess, with the Pri Megadim, that if a person were davened or bench when he was a chayla with Hirhur, he would be yaitza. He should not repeat the bench. To apply this more lemaisa, let's talk about our speechless fellow, the person that can't talk. I know someone that never can't talk because of an operation. He can never talk the rest of his life. What does he do? So the best eitzah, when possible, is the Eitzah. I saw Rabbeinu Yoina says this, and that is b'mechatech b'svasav. Now this is, you have to really clarify this, but there's something that a person talks, that's dibur. When someone in English is called mouthing the words, he pronounces the words, but it's totally inaudible. Zogt Rabbeinu Yoina, hadar minen beliba leiba machshava levad kama, devade b'hira la yatsa, the kaimal hira kadibadam, lav kadibadami, el ratzalayma afa b'shalay yishmi la aznav, kivan shechatach b'svasav yatsa. That means when someone pronounces the words, mouths the words, but there's no sound. Zogt Rabbeinu Yoina, that's yaitz. That's not Hirhur. That's dibur. That's a dibur that's not mashmiya la'azna. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, Alich Shlomo Zayin Yud says beferish, someone that can talk, if he's mechatech b'svasav afilu b'li koil klal, he's yaitza. In other words, someone that's hoarse and can't use his voice should pronounce the words, and he's yaitza. That's not Hirhur. That's better than Hirhur. And I must say, tzarli moed, and I see this all too often, whether it's during Ma'ariv or during Shachris after Baruch Shama, people feel they have to tell their friend something, so they mouth the words. They start pronouncing it. According to Rabbeinu Yoina, Shlomo Zalman, if you yaitza davening with that, then obviously it's a dibur. If it's a dibur, then it's a hefsek also. Now, my experience shows that when someone mouths the words, he tries mouthing. When the person doesn't hear, he says it quietly so the person doesn't hear. That's certainly a hefsek. But better realize that chittuch b'svasav is a hefsek. Without pronunciation, you're yaitza, and it's a hefsek. Another eitzah for our speechless fellow is simply shemei ka'oina, which this person told me he did. I spoke to him at Barichis, for benching, we'll soon see for davening, for krishma. Shemei ka'oina is not just Hirhur. Shemei ka'oina is lachatchila, a form of being yaitza all mitzvahs. Now for benching, you have to get someone on the same level. He can have a cotton bench him. We'll soon see about his wife, but basically for a mitzvahs, get the same level, and he's yaitza the mitzvah. The question is, which you probably never thought of because never negeya, but someone that can't talk, can he be yaitza shemei ka'oina, the mitzvah of Kriyas Shema? Why not? If shemei ka'oina is a dibur, why not? And Taka the Shakasari and Siman Vav regarding an Elim who cannot talk says, why not? And that's the sheet of many poskim. There's a tshuva of Ram al Shaker in Siman Yud, and the Goyin and Shnoi Salio and Brachas Gimel, Mishnah Gimel says the same thing, that since Krishma is a mitzvah v'dibarta bam, it's a mitzvah of dibur. Shemei ka'oina is ka'oina, but there's no dibur. And Zaktim Ram al Shaker that you can't be yaitza Krishma with shemei ka'oina. In other words, when there's a mitzvah to talk, fine. But if the mitzvah is v'dibarta, that has one meaning. Pronounce the words, say the words. The Mishnah Berurah in the end of Siman Samach Aleph seems to be mekel, Roi v'achrayim soivim the yatza, v'adav mihira, the hira lav kadiba, but shemei ka'oina. So certainly we could say, for this person who can talk, the eitzah of Krishma would be shemei ka'oina. Now of course, this person Taka did it, you have to arrange shemei ka'oina before davening. You can't go up to someone during Birchas Krishma, he's not going to know what you're talking about. Now you have to have an imagination for that. So the eitzah is tell him before, when you say Krishma, say it, let me, I can hear you, every word. Of course, a big Tanai and shemei ka'oina is you have to listen. Shemei ka'oina, you have to listen, it's takatirius, so listen to every single word. What would be if someone was yaitza shemei ka'oina Krishma, like Mr. Berurah said, and after Ma'ariv he had a miraculous recovery? So l'chayr he should repeat Krishma. Not because it's a hira lav kadiba situation. Taka shemei ka'oina. But even shemei ka'oina is a machlokes if you yaitza. So since the Goyim and Malshaka hold you not yaitza, it would be preferable to read over Krishma again if possible. For Shmoyne Esra, this Yid had 3 times a day for quite a while. L'chayra, we see, lav kadiba. The only eitzah heta would be, oinis, you rely on here. What's noteworthy, I think we'll really appreciate, there's a beautiful Magen Avram in Siman Kufal Sif Cotton Bays, and on the Mechaber that says, but Shmoyne Esra, you have to have a dibur, believe is not good, the Magen Avram says, L'chayra Shmay Nesra, maybe L'chol Adeyis, Hirhur Kedibur. Why? It's a pasuk that we say at least 3 times a day. Zok the Magen Avram, a novel idea. Since the yisoid of davening of Shmay Nesra is L'ovdei B'chol Levavchem, the Gemara in Tainis learns, Eiz Avodah Shebelev Zu Tefillah. Maybe Shmay Nesra is different, that the chefs of davening is Avodah Shebelev. So even if Hirhur Lav Kedibur, who cares? You don't need a Dibur. Maybe the Shmay Nesra, Leiv is the Ikka. Zok the Magen Avram Amar de Gechidish. Why? But listen to his Lashon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yedeya Machshavos. It's mamash like I told you in the beginning. Maybe davening and mitzvahs, the communication is sufficient. Hegyon Libi. But then says the Magen Avram, there's a raya from the Gemara Tak in Daf Chafma Beis regarding the Balkari, that no, for davening like benching and Krishma, Hirhur Lav Kedibur. He has a golden ataina avodah shebelev. So the Magen Avram ki akoil ma'oir lamayla kayadua. In other words, you need dibur. Maybe taka leiv is okay, but koil, a yid's word, a yid's davening, a yid's krech, every word of tefillah makes kaval the geroshim lamayla, and thinking is not sufficient. So here we see that really the Magen Avram is saying, which l'chayr is pashut, that for Shmay Nesra you can't be yaitza with Hirhur. So our speechless fellow will not be yaitza by thinking, but minimally he has our Yerushalmi, our Medrash. But Makam Einis, the yaitza is rely on Hirhur Kedibur. But Lamaisa, there is a different yaitza. And that is to use Shemeya Ka'oina. By Shachris, go over to the Baal Tefillah and listen closely to every word. You have to listen, Taka. It's not easy. You have to listen to every word from beginning to the end. If the Baal Tefillah is one of those that could say the entire Shmay Nesra B'neshima Achas, Yeshua Hashem Kehera Fayin is the way he davens, boom, boom, boom. If you can't listen, you can't be yaitz. But assuming you can hear the words of the Chazan, he would be yaitza better than Hirhur, better than a b'di'evet, an oynis de Hirhur. He has Shemeya Ka'oin. I should mention, Mr. Brewer in the beginning of Kuf Chav Dalet writes that by Shmay Nesra, we don't rely on Chazar Sashat, and the Hezbollah is, because you have to, each person has to daven himself. You can't connect to someone else. But, our case, he has no other choice, he can't daven, he can't even mouth the words. We'll rely on Shemeya Ka'oin. Now, I wonder, do you have to tell the shots to have me in mind, to be mighty him? Because part of the Shemeya Ka'oin is you have to have Kavanas Mashmir. So the emphasis, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Ramesh says it in the Tshuva emphatically, that a shots is automatically mechavan to be mighty people. It's part of his job, it's built in to the system, he's mighty the tzibur. Now, I would like to wonder out loud, I'm not questioning Rav Moshe, but ask next 10 shots and you meet. Did you ever mind to be mighty someone that can't talk and being yoitz with your chazar shots? Wow, I don't know that. Most people don't expect such a situation. Or someone that had a suffix if he was yoitz Shmay Nesra. But it seems that Rav Moshe means to say, which really the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, that's automatic shots function. It's built in. He says, to whom it may concern, whether he knows about it or not. So this person would listen to Chazar Sashat, for Shachas and Mincha, and he has a real Shmay Nesra, not just a B'di'eved Oynis, a real Shmay Nesra. The question that I asked this person is, what do you do about Ma'ariv? So he was very creative. He davened Mincha before the Shkia, and went after Shkia to the local shtibel. 50 minutes after Shkia, they were davening Mincha L'Chatchila, and he was fine with Ma'ariv for that. And he listened to the Chazar Hashatz for Mincha, and he had Ma'ariv. Now, I wondered, is that, forget about Tefillah, but Tzibur, can you take a Mincha and redirect it to a Ma'ariv? So the emphasis of Mr. Brewer and Simon Tzadik, Sifkot and Lamed has a Machlaikis, Gedolei HaPoiskim, if a person is really late, and he's davening Shachris, Shabbos, when the Tzibur is davening Musaf, is that Tefillah B'Tzibur? And even there, the Mr. Brewer is Mekel, even though it's a different Shmay Nesra, but that's with the tzibur. So I would imagine this case is a ma'ila. It's the same Shmay Nesra, Mincha Ma'ariv. The only question is, can you take a different Mincha and reroute it to Ma'ariv, so why not? You're being Shemeya. You are having kavanah for the Ma'ariv. Now the Chazan, I don't know if he's in on this ploy. His mincha is being converted, translated into a Ma'ariv, but probably it does work. Again, the fact that it's the same words, l'chayr should be yotz. Now the logistics is a little bit difficult because he has to daven in a shul that's davening Ma'ariv, let's say a little earlier. Start with Birchas Krishma and Krishma here, be Shemei Koine from one person, and sort of in the middle, run out and run to that Mincha Shul and catch Shemay Nesr. Okay, or else he'll daven afterwards. Fine. Regarding benching, this person that can't talk, he has an eitzah of Shemei Koine. Now, if there's no one around, he'll rely on Hirhur, Einis. But usually he had his wife that benched for him. I did tell him that benching a wife being Yaitza husband is not so pashut. In Siman Kuf Pei Vav, Mechaba brings 2 days if Noshim Achayiv in benching the Raisa. On the side that she's only Chayiv Midrabanan, a Drabanan can't pata the Raisa. But I told him it's a simple Eitzah. If you eat less than Kedei Sviyah, and the wife ate Kedei Sviyah, so then you have 2 Drabanan, 1 Drabanan to the other, and that would be an Eitzah. As far as bracha rishona, that he told me was most challenging because he wanted a drink at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. He's not going to wake up his wife. There's no one on the streets. Figure, what does he do with the bracha? So for this, we'll rely on the Yerushalmi, the Rabbeinu Yoina, that if there's no other Eitzah, we'll rely on Hirhur Kedibur. Rav Shlomo Zalman in Halicha Shlomo that I mentioned, I saw the Shevet HaKosi and Chelik Dal, Lamed Daled, regarding people that can't talk because of a chayla. The Eitzah, if there's no one around, will rely on the Ramah, Rabbeinu Yoina, that Hashem Yira L'Leivav. I mean, can you say that Yaitza L'Chatchila? We can't say that. But definitely that would be enough to be mated, to drink or eat. They'll make their own bracha, B'Leiv, B'Machshava, and the Yaitz. Now again, when I say to be Yaitz with Machshava, it doesn't mean think. I'm thinking of shackle. Today with computers, you press send and you send the whole program. You can't hit benching, here's my benching. It has to be, it's very deliberately, very carefully. Baruch, atah, and think each word individually. It's takatidius. I would advise a person to take out a siddur and follow along. This way you don't miss a word. Think of each word as if you're pronouncing it. So Hirhur Kediba works b'shas Hatchak by an oinis, but it has to be every word. Lamaisa, as you see, for a person that can't talk because of a condition, there is a semi-eitzah. It's not l'chol hadayis. Some say it's not yoitzah, but at least that's better than nothing. What's very reassuring and very comforting for someone that has a situation similar to this, because really you wonder, he wants to get rid of this palate. Okay, it's very important. But he's putting himself in a situation that he might be denying himself of mitzvahs for a long time. According to the Pri Chadash, according to the Mishnah Berurah, Bi'alach, he's not yaitza with that Krishma, Hirhur Kediba. So it's better than nothing, but it's not much better than nothing. How did the person put himself in a matziv that according to some he was not yaitza benching, or Krishma, or Shemay Nestor? Now, if he has Shemay Koine, fine. But if he's relying on Hirhur, he's being deprived of many mitzvahs. So that's one thing I told him, and I think this is an important yisoid. Rav Moshe has a chiddush in Chelik Aleph Siman Kuf Ayin Beis, but I heard this many years ago from an enikol Rav Shimon, one of my rebbeim, an enikol Rav Shimon Shkop. Rav Shimon Shkop had the following halacha l'maisa shayla. A child was born, otherwise was healthy, except there was a deformity on his foot. The doctor detected it right away and said, if I operate now, I'll save this child from limping the rest of his life. If I correct it now. But if I make the surgery right away, he will unable to have a mila b'shmini. Can't give a child two surgeries in a short few days. So you'll have to delay the surgery a few weeks. But the shayla is, you'll have to do that. He's being mavatal the mitzvah of mila b'shmini. So Rav Shimon Shkop psak was that you have to give up a lot for a mitzvah. You have to give up a chaymish of your nechasim, but not more. How much is it worth for a person to be able to walk normally the rest of his life? A lot more than a chaymish nechasim. So even if it is a bittul mitzvah of mila, even if we accept it as such, because of the extenuating circumstances, it's more than a chaymish, and he's allowed to mevatel the mitzvah of mila. Rav Moshe, the same thing. Okay, that's true. I'm saying even if it would be a bittul mitzvah, but it's not. Rav Moshe Chelik Aleph Kuf Ayin Beis, someone that had a serious problem, and he was put in an institution, and if he leaves to go Hesh Shaifa on Rosh Hashanah, he'll lose the effect of the treatment. But if he doesn't go, he's going to miss Shaifa on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah comes and goes, he didn't hear Shaifa. So Rav Moshe Mamash said this cheshbon. How much is the mitzvah, how much is it worth to have health? More than a chaimish. He's allowed to be a dayim, not go, and not hear shayf. Our person that needs his voice, a voice is worth more than a chaimish. So we could tell him, try as best as you can, mouthing words, which rather to him was not shaykh. The doctor forbade mouthing words. If mouthing words is not an option, Shemei Kohen is the next option. If Shemei Kohen is not feasible, let's say at night, no one's around, then Mahara Balei, then you have Hirhur Kedibur. We'll have some say you're Yaitza, some not, and even if you're not Yaitza, at least we have this Yisai that it's more than a Chaimish of Nechas. Part 2 is applying Hirhur Kedibur for all of us Gezuntheit that we could talk, and let's organize it al pi Shulchan Aruch. First and foremost, regarding Birchas HaTorah, if someone is walking to shul, he did not yet say Birchas HaTorah. Is he allowed to think Hirhur b'Torah before Birchas HaTorah? But this we spoke about, it was last year, it was tape 914, but basically the Mechaber says you're allowed to think Torah before Birchas HaTorah. Apparently Hirhur lav kedibur, and therefore there's no chiyuv Birchas HaTorah. The Goyin on the Mechaber argues and says no, here is also a mitzvah, v'gisa b'yayim v'layim. So to make a long story short, we explained that really all agree Hirhur lav kedibur. But the Goyin also is not arguing in Hirhur kedibur. But the Goyin said that since the gisva yomim v'layil is also a mitzvah, that itself requires a bracha. The Mechaber held no, the bracha is required on the primary mitzvah, which is the dibarta bam dibur. And therefore, la halacha avada, you could be saimach on the Mechaber shita, and if a person did not say Birchas HaTorah, he could think Torah. Ideally, one should say Birchas Torah right away, and then he will have no shayla. A beautiful ha'ara, someone asked me this last time, and now I'm going to get back to him. He was makbid not to say Birchas HaTorah before Tefillah says, before he goes to the mikveh. Now, from the morning, wakes up, until the Tefillah, there's a nice few minutes. Could he be mahara b'Torah? So if the halach is yes, that's the ferish Mechaber. But he felt very uncomfortable going a nice few minutes and violating what the Goyin said is wrong. So what I told him then, I think I mentioned here also, there's a Chasam Sofer, not written, but Chasam Sofer, it's quoted in Tefillah L'Moshe, Perek Zayin Siman Beis, a golden einfall. Says the Chasam Sofer, the eights of someone that can't say Birchas HaTorah. And again, an example would be this person that he doesn't want to say Birchas. I mean, I see you could say Birchas HaTorah, but he doesn't want it. The eights would be, listen to this, be Mahar Birchas HaTorah B'leiv, and then learn B'leiv. So the assumption is Memanav Shach. If Hirhur Kedibur, and you need a Birchas HaTorah, you got Birchas HaTorah. If Hirhur lav Kedibur and it doesn't work, so then you don't need Birchas HaTorah. This is what they say B'Shem D'Chsam Seif. This is very hard for me to understand for two obvious reasons. First of all, even if you hold that you don't need Birchas HaTorah on Hirhur, what's the Pshat? Pshat is Pashut. There is a mitzvah. No of us, it's not Mechai Birchas HaTorah. But that doesn't mean that if you say Birchas HaTorah B'Hirhur, you're Yoitza the bracha. How are you Yoitza the bracha? Where are you Yoitza bracha with Hirhur? Hirhur lav Kedibur. The bigger problem is, good, you'll make this Eitzah, hope for the best. What are you going to do after mikveh? How are you going to learn the rest of the day? You're going to rely on what? On Hirhur Kedibur? We paskin Hirhur lav Kedibur. So in other words, how could be Yaitza bracha with Hirhur? And afterwards the whole day, what are you going to do? So when I learned this week the sugya, I realized that maybe he'll rely on what we just learned. That since for him, again, even though Allah is not asa, but since for him he will not say Birchas HaTorah before mikvah, he's an einus. So for B'shas Oynis, he could rely on Hirhur Kediba. After Mikvah, then, Batal Oynis, he could then say Berachas HaTorah L'chatchila, because he's still Mechoyev. Maybe that's the Eitzah. But to me was an interessante Zach, the Torah's Chaim, that's not the Einigal Chasam Sefer, that's a son of the Talmud, that's Chaim Sefer's son, in Siman Samach Beis, and the Seiris Tshuva in Siman Lamaches, who was an Einigal of the Chasam Sefer, both paskin, if someone said a bracha behira, and even if the Oynis was bottle, you're not allowed to repeat the bracha because you were yoitza with Hirhur, like the Pri Megadim. So that and the Chasam Sefer's Eitzah does not stim. So if you are yoitza with Hirhur Kediba, then you can't repeat the Berachas Torah later. So I'll leave this at a shtickle of a tzarachian, but definitely I saw that Minchas Yitzchak Chelikei and Kuf says to be yoitza Berachas Torah with Hirhur does not work. Because essentially we paskin Hirhur Lav Kediba. Someone wakes up in the morning and makes up in the middle of the night and he wants to drink. He has water by his bed, but till he washes negavasa and gets negavasa. So he said, you know what? I'll be yoitza, I'll be soymech on Hirhur Kediba. Says the Taz, now with Simon, that's not a bad idea. Because we saw in the Ramah, B'makom Chayler or Oynis, you could be yoitza on Hirhur Kediba. So even though his hands are not clean and he's not allowed to make a bracha, so the eitz is think the bracha and be yoitz with Hirhur Kediba b'makom Oynis. Azoi state in Taz. Says the Mishnah quoting the Mata Yehuda, wait a minute. There are two categories that Hirhur works b'shas atchag. Chayla or Oynis. Azoi state in Ramah and Shulchan Aruch. But lazy is not included. Get up and wash negavas. Tainet the Mata Yehuda, Efshalei Lamed V'litol Yada. It's not a chayla or oynis, and therefore says the Mishnah Berurah, it will not work. This eitzah doesn't work. Where this eitzah does work, let's say a person's a chayla in bed. He's in the hospital, even at home, and he needs help to get out of bed, and to wash is for him almost impossible. Oh, then, and I saw the Nishmas Avram Samach Beis Taka says this. Then even the Mishnah Berurah would agree to the Taz that would be an eitzah. It's very hard to get out of bed to wash, mahara the bracha, and drink. Again, it sounds outlandish, but it's based on our sugi. In the world, unfortunately, we live in of parrots, murba la'oimid. It's quite often a person's traveling during the summer, street, bus, plane, at work, and he's in the presence of a woman that's immodestly dressed, either uncovered hair or short sleeves, etc., etc. So the halacha is, it's an issa deraisa, to say a bracha, to learn in the presence of erva is asa. The question is, are you allowed to think Torah in such a situation? A person on a city bus, on a plane, at work, and there's someone that's not dressed properly. So l'chayr, you're wondering, what's the difference? If you're not allowed to learn, you're not allowed to think Torah. But here we come to a Gemara in Shabbos Daf Kuf Nun. You're allowed to think Torah in the presence of an immodestly dressed woman. And this is Gepaskin, the Mishnah Berurah, and Ayin Hey Sivkot and Chav Tes. Why? The answer is very pashut. Look at the pasuk. La yer v'cha ervas dava, dibor asa, hiramut. In other words, if it's a regular din of saying something, we say, Hirhur Lav Kediba. Here, the pasuk spelled out, La yer v'cha ervas dava, dibor. Hirhur is not included in the yisr. The chiddush that we mentioned, this was in tape 914, is it's not only Hirhur is mutter in a situation like this, but looking into a sefer, as long as you don't verbalize the words, or listening to a recording, a CD, a MP3, or even Hirhur according to the Goyin, that holds you mechayiv in Birchas HaTorah. In all those cases, are mutter b'makom erva. Why? Pashut. As long as it's not an express dibur, it's not like yervach ervas dav. So even though a person is listening to a recording, but there's no dibur, the only shalom we had, that we mentioned this in that last time, is if you're listening to a person talk, your friend is telling you a chiddush in such a situation. Now, what's the heta for the friend? I don't know. But are you allowed to listen to your friend that's telling you a chiddush? There, maybe shemei ko'ina is like a dibur. That's the problem. Maybe. But anything less than that, looking into a sefer, as long as you don't verbalize the words, listening to a recording, or according to the Goyin that here requires a bracha, but it's still not yet dibur. And therefore that will be mutter in such a situation. The only real problem which is a problem, l'chol hadayis by Hirhur, is in a situation where a person is in an unclean situation. L'mashal, in the presence of a dirty diaper, or in a hospital, there's a bedpan. As we know, there's a issa deraisa to learn or say a bracha in a place of tzaya or the like. Is it mutter to think Torah in such a situation? So this is the same Gemara. Why? Because the pasuk says, "V'haya machanecha kadosh." Your whole machne has to be kadosh, and as Rashi explains, that includes even Hirhur. So Hirhur in a place that's unclean is asa lahalacha in Pehei Siv Beis. The Shulchan Aruch says asa beis hakisi beis hamerchatz. The only thing you might wonder is, wait, 1 second, but lamaisa Hirhur lav kadiba. What's wrong? So Pashut will say, no, machanecha kadosh means no Torah, no kedusha at all. But if you look in the Nishmas Adam, Chai Adam Sefer, the notes in Siman Gimel, Halacha Beis, he has a machlokes if this is an Issa Deraisa. And we can understand why it's not an Issa Deraisa, because Lamaisa, it's here Lav Kediva. But those that hold it's an Issa Deraisa to think Torah, B'makayim She'enai Naki, Pshat is, it has to be complete Kedusha. Even Hirhur is Asa Midaraisa. Moving on to Hilchas Shabbos, I'll tell you a beautiful ha'ara. The same person that couldn't talk, what did he do regarding Kiddush? So rather, Kiddush is not such a problem. He could be Yoitza Shemei Ka'ina. Even the Machaba says you could be Yoitza Shemei Ka'ina from a wife, because a husband and wife have the same chiyuv regarding Kiddush. But theoretically, let's say he's living alone. So one would suggest, maybe since the ikka of Kiddush is to remember Shabbos, so let me think the Kiddush, and I'm not forgetting Shabbos. I'm consciously remembering Shabbos. In other words, maybe when it comes to Kiddush, the ik is to remember, not forget, which I'm doing. So, in other words, then maybe l'chol hadayis Hirhur kedibur. But that's wrong. There's a Paras Kehanim, in the beginning of Parashas B'chukaisai, that says maybe you're right. When the is to forget something, then as long as you remember it, b'machshav is good enough. But says the Paras Kehanim, Zoches yem Shabbos lekatsha yachol b'libcha kishu oimes shamor harei shmiras halev amor umani mekayim zocha shetei shayne beficha. There's one mitzvah to remember Shabbos, and was one mitzvah of Kiddush b'dvarim, to verbalize Kedusha Shabbos. And that's why, fakert, even if you hold Hirhur kedibur, but regarding Kiddush, there's a din of dibur mamish. Kiddush b'dvarim is absolutely necessary. Another Hilchas Shabbos shayla, there's an issa chamor. It's not a deraisa, but it's based on a pasuk of Divrei Kabbalah of talking business on Shabbos. Can a person think business on Shabbos? So we'll say it's Verish's Miras, right? Hirhur mutar. Where does Miras get this from? From our sugya, because the pasuk that asks dibur of business is v'daber dava, zog the Gemara, dibur asa, Hirhur mutar. Zog the maril in a tshuva, in Siman Reish Aleph, why taka is Hirhur mutar? I lamaisa, it's not covered Shabbos. So Maril says, Amar de Gechidish. The Ike Issa of Dibur is the zilzul, the avshamilsa, you're talking business on Shabbos, that's unacceptable. But Zakta Maril, if it's only b'machshava, it's like Dvarm Shabbatzina. Maril has an unbelievable analogy. Just like Avelis b'fahesi on Shabbos is asa, but Dvarm Shabbatzina is muta, so too Hirhur, Dibur is b'fahesia, and Hirhur is muta. The Meiri on that Gemara in Shabbos Daf Kuf Nun explains, you know why Hirhur is muta? A person is not an angel. You come home after a hard day at work, and you're thinking about your business. You can't detach yourself entirely. Why do you have to have these reasons? I'll tell you. Because the halacha is, and this the Yavit says this, you're not allowed to read business related articles. You can't read a Wall Street Journal on Shabbos. I'm not verbalizing the words only Hirhur. If you think about it, light the Mariel and light the Meiri, it's very kishmak. Because light the Meiri, this you could prevent. Don't read business. Thinking, maybe you can't, but reading, don't. Light the Mariel, it's also, this is Dvarim Shebafahesya. Rashi, ala Torah in Parshas Yisroi, Vasisakom lachtecha, Shatei Shabbos, Yeh beinech gilukol malachtecha asuya, Shlei tahara achem malacha. So Rashi seems to imply that here is awesome. And I must tell you that that's tak halacha. The Mechaber in Shinvav Siv Ches says that really here on Shabbos is mutter. But ideally, the right way to do it is kol malachtecha asuya. Don't think business on Shabbos. So it's only a het of b'diavad lechatchila kol malachtecha asuya. Let me tell you Hilchos Pesach Shaila. It's almost Pesach Taka. Someone is very exhausted from the whole Erev Pesach. He wants to be an interesting idea. He's going to be yotzei the mitzvah of Leil Seder Vigadata b'machshava. According to Ravina, that Hira Kadiba, can you be yotzei Leil Seder b'machshava? He's living alone. He has no children, so it's either saying it himself or thinking. So here we see, as early as the Psalm Rosh, in the Tshuva, writes Beferish in Kufayin Gimel, that even if you hold, listen to this, even if you hold that a whole year you yotzei Tchiras Yitzias Mitzrayim b'machshava, but Leil say that the din of Igada to Levincha, and that has to be b'dibur, and therefore Dr. Shagis Aryeh and Simin Gimel and others beside the Psalm Rosh, Leil say that even according to Ravina, you have to have a Haggadah. The last Tshuva in Elv Chashleim in the Sefer writes Beferish, Ravina is Maida that Leil Pesach you cannot be yotzei with Hira Kedib. In fact, there's a discussion if Shemei Ka'ina works. If it's a din of Igadata, maybe Shemei Ka'ina does not work. But Lamais there arises from the Ga'onim, and Taka, I know the Minigan Brisk is that the Rosh Hashanah says the Haggadah, and the whole family listens al Shemei Ka'ina. So Shemei Ka'ina is a dibur, but not Machshava, even according to Ravin. How about Sfira? Our speechless fellow, 49 days, he had a Shaila. What do you do about Sfira? So Pashtis will say, well, Hira Kadiba, but that's not true. The Poskim say that since the Pasuk says Usvartem lachem, and the Gemara darshans the Menachas Svira l'chol echad v'echad, it's possible, even according to Ravina, that Hira Kadiba, he's not yotzei Svira b'machshav. In fact, there's a big discussion if you yotzei Svira with Shemei Ka'ina. The bracha could be yotzei. But divide the din of Svartim l'chol echad v'echad, some hold you can't even be yotzei Shemei Ka'ina regarding Svira. The Aruch HaShulchan writes if a person wrote the night of Svira, was he yotzei? Because of Adanat. Even if Ksiba Kedibur, there's a din of Svira l'chol echad. I'll tell you a fascinating shayla. Someone, for him, Tisha B'Av is the biggest ordeal because he can't learn the whole day. He's plotzing for, he wants to learn. So he has an idea. After he finishes Kinnis, he's going to think of a Shver Rambam, a Shver Rashba, a Shver Boch Beh. The whole day he'll spend thinking Torah. And he's a person of Barachi. Is it mutter to think Torah on Tisha B'Av? So here we'll say, wait a minute, this is pretty promising. Since we said, Legabe Birchas HaTorah, you're allowed to think of Torah before Birchas HaTorah, so obviously here Lav Kedibur. So why can you think on Tisha B'Av, Hirhurim of Torah? And I want to tell you, the Augur holds Lahalach and Hilchos Tisha B'Av. You're allowed to think Torah on Tisha B'Av. It's just verbalizing. But there's a different reason, and that's the Maril that I mentioned earlier. Maril says a Gevaldi Gevar. The Issa on Tisha B'Av is not Torah per se. The Issa Simcha, Mesamchei Leiv. Zogte Maril, and that Shuv and Simrei Shalaf. The Ikka Simcha of learning is when you think. A person that davens up the blot doesn't have much Simcha. But when he thinks about the blot, that's the real Simcha. There's more Simcha when you're thinking. And that the Machab and Tafkuf and Dalet Sid Gimel only quotes this Maril Lalacha. Here on Tisha B'Av is Asa al Simcha Shaboy. The mitzvah of Sheish Zechirais, I guess we'll talk Purim Dik, Yana the Yoima. The mitzvah of remembering Amalek, you might say, I'm thinking about it. It's good enough. This is the same Teres Kahanim that has 4 examples that I mentioned. Teres Kahanim, beginning of Parashat B'chukaisai. Shabbos, Zechiras Chet Egel, the Zechiras Ma'aseh Miriam Lashon Hara, and Amalek. If it would only say Al Tishkach, Belev is good enough. But since the pasuk says remember, Zechira only is B'dibur, and there's a mitzvah of Dibur and Hirhur Lav Kedibur. Another fascinating Purim Shaila. Someone was listening to a Megillah, but he didn't chap that the person learning was under Bar Mitzvah. So Mamash, he sat 45 minutes listening carefully, but he wasn't Yoitza. But he's a Lamdin. He said, you know what, I'm going to be Yoitza, at least according to Ravina, that Hirhur Kedibur. I was thinking of the words, Zok Tishagesari and Turayevin in Megillah, Daf Yotes, you're making a mistake. Even if you hold Hirhur Kedibur, but Megillah you have to have a Kriya Mitoich, Megillah's Esther. So here is only enough by a mitzvah. But if you have to have a kriya, then you can't be yaitza with Hirhur Kedibur. But what he should have done is, if he was listening along with that child laning and looking into a Megillah, so maybe you're yaitza. Why? You connect the Hirhur with the kriya mitoich haksav. The Chazanish in Siman Chavtes has a problem, and he says there's 2 currencies. They're very different psychologically. There's Shmiya, and then there's Hirhur. When you're listening, you're not necessarily thinking of every word. Who said you could convert a Shmiya into a Hirhur? Which is very true. Shmiya is a different, more conscious listening. And last but not least, the Yeridei Shailis, we said earlier that Lamaisa, the mitzvah of Limud HaTorah, you could be yaitza with Hagoyan, with thinking. But let's not forget the Gemara, and Machaba quotes this in Reish Mem Vav, V'chav Beis. The Ikka Limud HaTorah is verbalizing the words. That's the skula to remember. The Rav is very emphatic in Hilchas Talmud Torah, Beis Yud Beis, that only to be yaitza the mitzvah is only if you pronounce the words. So even though it's a mitzvah of Hirhurim, but actually verbalizing the words should be done. We once had a shayla, I hope it was just a joke, but someone asked me, he was once nichshel in Hirhurim Royim, but he consoled himself because Hirhur Lav Kedibur, which is as ridiculous as can be. If the Gufa Issa is Hirhur, you can't say Hirhur Lav Kedibur. It's like we said earlier, when there's a mitzvah of Dibur, the Hirhur doesn't work, and here it's Fakir. I did see the Marshag in Dalid Yutes says that, but other various Taka Hirhur Lav Kedibur. Someone curses his friend b'machshava. He's not over. I'll tell you something interesting. There was a big tumult in Eretz Yisrael when the government wanted to make a census counting people. So you're not allowed to count people. We're going to Ram quotes it in Kuf Nun Vav Beis. So they wanted to say, you don't have to count, write. Each person will write. So the Stipel in Reish Mem Dalid, and I saw the Shevet Alevi has a tshuva that Gabi the Issa of census, even writing is awesome. Because the you're counting people. But here the Marsha, I did see the Kafachayim and Nun Hey Yud Aleph says that regarding counting, Hirhur is not a problem. So that's the only way to do it, Hirhur b'machshav. We began the question, if someone thinks a bracha als Hirhur, which is a good eitzah, b'makom einis, and let's say he wasn't chayiv in the bracha. It was a suffix bracha. Can he think the bracha, does he lose if he wasn't chayiv? So the Chayr will say, Mamanasha, if Hirhur Kedibur, and he wasn't chayiv in the bracha, it should be a bracha levatala. But I told you the Mamshik says this, and then must come out. All the Paiskim say, even if you're yaitz with a bracha Hirhur Kedibur, but if Klapi Shema you didn't need it, there's no bracha levatala. I'm a Manashach. The teretz is beautiful. The issa of a bracha levatala is loisisa Hashem Hashem Aleikecha, and this is not loisisa. And therefore we'll understand Achrein Chaviv. I'll tell you, Mordecai Yad Aliyo asks the Mordecai Shayla. He says, the Ma'aser people are Maleya Machshava Izoros. During Shemini Esther, we think things we're not supposed to. How could anybody be Yoyt to Shemini Esther effect the Yad Aliyo and Simon Yud Beis? If you hold Hirhur Kedibur, he's Mafsikim B'La Shemini Esther. So the answer really is, the Ramah says in Simon Samaches, that Machshav is not a hefsik. But the Stipler says why? And the Stipler says, if you want to be Yoitza davening with Dibur, then here is not a hefsik. It's only when you make a Dibur that Dibur is a hefsik. But even if Hirhur Kedibur, it's only the factual Dibur that makes the hefsik. The Lamda will say, but I remember Rashi and Taisis and Brachas Chaf Aleph and Beis, that when you listen to Kedusha during Shemini Esrei, Taisa says it's a hefsek. I am just listening. How is it a hefsek? Teretz is beautiful. If you want to be Yaitse Kedusha al Shemea Ka'oina, then Taisa says maybe it's a hefsek. But just plain Machshava is not a hefsek. I couldn't tell it to you.
Beautiful shit, beautiful. Hashem Ignish I would like to thank Rabbi Yakov Zev Shlita for the handige shir. Today's shir was dedicated to Chaber Kelish Nishmas Habocha Nosen Yehuda Rabbi Yakov Akiva Shalom the Yoter is today Chav Zayin Tevis. Rabbi say tomorrow a lot of people don't work. We're going to have the schus to have a Rava going a Moshe Tuvia Leaf Shlita 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The Heilige Yortzeit of Rav Shmuel Birnbaum is tomorrow. His Talmud will be speaking here tomorrow. Tuesday we'll have Rav Shmuel Lezer Stern, the big dying for Bnei Brak and Rav Ozen's Bezin. Tuesday, whoever could join us, Tuesday 1 o'clock. Also the World Bat Project, all over the world, wherever you go, Baruch Hashem, Kalal Yisrael is joining in Tarosam, B'Kedushosna Shal Yisrael. Hundreds of thousands of Yidden are joining all over the world now, and it's the schus of people that are holding it out. Whoever wants to have the great schus of sponsoring Taras Mashpacha worldwide, please call Ignish 718-851-8651. Abraham lekashem rot kosh bor lazak Yisrael figir behem toy mitzvah shnem an khofes man sitkoy yagdil teura beyade kadish. Amen. Amen. Yehesh made out. Amen. The Sikkim will be shortly. Please bring L'chaim. Rabbi Kelish giving L'chaim. L'chaim. Boy said, please don't forget Ignish Torah Shurim now all over the world. Take a check right now. Have a schus. And hundreds of thousands of Yidden learning Torah and Taras Mashpacha all over the world. Write out checks to Ignish Torah. If you could sponsor a community for $1,000 or $500, whatever you could do will be a tremendous help. Tiskra mitzvahs.
Ramos said that Hirhur is never a hefsek in that. I was talking about someone during the exhibition with the chazan is gargling away, he's singing and this and that. You lose your patience, one thing out of black tomorrow. So Hirhur will have to be the guy hefsek. Even according to Ravina, Hirhur could be more, but it's not a hefsek. Hefsek is a mitzvah. That's the first thing to say.
Now again, somebody has dibur, shamia, and then you have a
dibur, he's talking.
Or he's listening.
Right.
He's listening and dibur.
Right.
Then you have the Hirhur. So the Hirhur is not strong enough.
Right. That's what the Steif was saying. Right.
But if you're making a bracha with Hirhur, in the middle, that's the big
maybe right. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Very good. Very good. I'll tell you, very good. Very good. I'll tell you, I have to think about that. The Steif.
You have to do
The Steif says if it's the same currency, if it's a different currency, you're better off. Bachi asked me this question. He's sitting on a bus. This is not so common, but he's sitting on a bus and he's thinking, and then he wants to make a bracha. Once the Malkamayis will be the same that the bracha the Hirhur could be. Okay? If there's a problem, we have a prayer as well. Since he wants to use it as a dibur,
he's not using it as a he's using it as machshava.
Saying the bracha. He goes to bracha shakra.
He is making a bracha.
He's machara the bracha.
Hante der Jutsa durch von der Ravagun am Chaim Spitze, da mit der Mann der Fleck der Sogen schieren, dann tacke der nicht muss sein.
You got me there.
But if you have answers, don't tell them to be the machshava, because
Text it to you. Yes.
You took these figures to the Hirhur.
It's yours. You have to go read that again. Kit is here, you have to go. Try to find strength. Now the word. Without any sound at all. This is your thing. This is the word. You got the mouth of it. That's the good news. If he runs out of words, he can't invite his family. I can hear him.
I have to drink. I have to drink.
Yeah, you do. Yeah? Eating also. Be gesund. Talk and everything. Hashem and Enu B'Koyel. A lot of people have this one. What? Powerful? Powerful is a week. It's not powerful. It's not a growth. Need a surgeon. You come out of it. It's very common. It's more. And also, surgery. Oh, wow. I'm saying yes to both these things today. You're making what you're missing. It's in the hay. You have the kayak and the kayak. Good. That's a talk us in time. How last you today? What? Okay. The top of my mind now. You want to take it later.
What about Baruch Shem Tov? No. 2 days. It's not an ever number. Yeah, but you're not then only. Yeah. That's 2 days. 2 days.
It's another part that
Oh, there is one.
I first let it.
It says, don't need to try. So that's what's good. Wouldn't be in line. The French can say this, that.
Hier in Los Angeles, right in Los Angeles. Wat gezien,
Tafsir, in Lubavitch Shir, en Lubavitch Shir. We zitten hier, echt zit Shir, we zitten in Lemesh. Met een staan erbij gezet.
daar was een Stettin daar.
Stettin, die Stettin. Die ben op 50th Street over there.
Ja. Zag die stad aan, ik was in India.
Gold?
Is gold.
Yeah, I do believe it. I have to say.
My wife says she's afraid.
So am I.
What?
Me too. It is scary. It is scary, yeah. He was, or he is.
It is.
Simcha, where is it?
The first band
Next week Tuesday.
Simcha, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
We're thinking about making a sikkum, and
So then here is good, but you don't have to. Downstairs.
a lot of blank CDs.
Not a blank. CD of tournament.
The original album.
Ready to roll.
He said what I thought, the answer to what I asked. The Hirhur, if my Hirhur could
No,
match
no, no,
the other
hello.
Hirhur. And the answer to it is the Hirhur that we think oil, and that's a Hirhur that comes in. So that's two separate things.
Just a short summary we learned here, Bez Hashem. Mitzvahs are usually a dibur requirement. Shemei Ka'ina is an acceptable form of dibur. In fact, it's l'chatchila. If the person hears every word regarding a mitzvah of dibur, l'chatchila is supposed to be mashmiya la'oznav. That's a share in the dibur, but b'diavad, even if he couldn't hear the words, even if it was inaudible, he's still yaitza. Ksiva is not a form of communication regarding mitzvahs. Reading, scanning with your eyes is not a way of davening or saying a bracha. It has to be a pronunciation. Even if it's inaudible, it has to be a chittuch b'dvarim. Hirhur is the big sugya of today. We paskin clearly Hirhur lav kediba. Regarding mitzvahs, and especially for an oynis, we did show that there's definitely what to be saimech on, that Hirhur is an acceptable form of a mitzvah. There's imru bilvavchem, hegyoin libi, as we said, tzoak libam el Hashem, the amar azina Hashem, bina hagigi, as we explained. If a person's a chayla or an oynis, then he has a way of being yaitza mitzvahs through Hirhur. In this case, the Hirhur is his form of dibur. Mishnah Berurah does say if he could redo it later when he's able to talk, it's better to redo it. But definitely there is a strong case to say if someone cannot talk due to a chayli or oynis, he can be yaitza with Hirhur kedibur. Chituch svasayim, mouthing words, is, even though it's inaudible, is a way that a person could be yaitza. You could be yaitza bracha. Someone asked, and I think the answer is, he asked me, could you say amen if someone mouths the bracha? And the answer probably is yes. If it's a bracha, why not? Shemei ka'ayin, according to most shitas, works even for kriya shema, even though it says v'dibarta bam. So someone could be yaitza krishma that way. For Shemay Nesra, you need a dibur. It's not enough. As the Magen Avraham pointed out, it's not enough just avodah shebalev. But you could listen to Chazar Sashatz, and we said for Meir, you could listen to a mincha, a late mincha. Benching, we don't use Hirhur unless it's an oynis. Shemei ka'oin is a better option, even being yaitza with an isha. Hirhur means thinking each word. It's tedious, it's deliberate to think of each word, not just to bracha, but to go through each word, and that's the form of dibur. The interesting heta would be, as we said, if you could somehow connect to Shemei Ka'oina, but basically, if not, Hirhur is an acceptable way of doing things. Birchas HaTorah for Hirhur is a machlokes we paskin. You could think Torah without Birchas HaTorah. It's not an eitzah to think the brachas and then repeat it later. It's questionable. We did show that in the presence of pritzas, Hirhur, or reading without pronunciation, or even listening to a recording, as long as not Shemei Ka'oina, would be mutter. It's only Erev Asdava, and Hirhur is mutter. In a place that's not Naki, of Tzoya and the like, that's the one place that absolutely asa, even Hirhur. Thinking business on Shabbos, Mekid Din is mutter, but it's Kol Malach Techasuya, best not to. Reading business is asa, because that's actually a Maisa. On Pesach, the mitzvah of Higadata, it requires Dibur, and even Ravina holds Hirhur is not acceptable. Svira needs a Svartam Lachem, and Hirhur is not good. Tisha B'Av, even Hirhur is also, because the Simcha of it is what us is. The mitzvahs of Zechiras is not enough not to forget, but there's a mitzvah of Dibur, listening to a pasuk kriya of the Megillah, a child laning. You're not yaitza al tehira shaboy unless the person has an open Megillah in front of him, and even that the Chazon Ish was concerned. Maybe you can't equate shmiya with Hirhur, but definitely if there's no Megillah, Hirhur is lav kedibur. Learning is much better dibur. It's a school to remember. It also the Rav Shulchan Aruch says that's really the ikka mitzvah, but there's also a mitzvah of Hirhur b'Torah. Hirhurim royim is asa. That's the issa of Hirhur, except for Klala or the like. Counting Yidin behir is mutter, just dibur or ksiv is asa. Safik brachas you're allowed to use Hirhur because the issa is loisisa, a dibur of Shem Hashem. So it's interesting. You could be yaitzu with Hirhur, but there's no issa of loisisa if it's not necessary. There's no hefsik by Hirhur because it's not a dibur. Shemei Ka'oina is a machlokes if there's a hefsik, and even that we paskin it's mutter. I wanted to mention one thing. In the Akdama to Safra the Sinusa, Reb Chaim Volozhin writes, the Goyim once told him, I'm going to tell you what davening is all about. I once struggled for a long time to figure out a Zoya, and I couldn't figure it out. During Shemay Nesra, on Rosh Chodesh Shachris, I thought of 7 pshatim in the Zoya. And then he turned to me and says, what would you do? Middle of Shemay Nesra. So Chaim said, I would think of the pshatim, try to organize it, and go weiter. So the guy, and that's what I did. I was masaded of pshatim in 15 seconds. I finished Shemay Nesra, and after Shemay Nesra, I had forgotten all 7 pshatim. It was Rosh Chodesh. I wanted to say Hallel, but I couldn't. I was in such sorrow. I just forgot 7 pshatim. So it took me a half hour. I got back into Simcha. I said Hallel. Came Musaf. Again, the 7 pshatim came in front of my eyes. I ignored it, and after Musaf, the 7 Shatim were Aruchim Ushmurim Lefanai. And the Goyen says that's what davening is all about. Now, obviously, that's not a hefsik. That wasn't the problem. But the Fnei HaMelech, it has to be totally devoted for Shemayin Esra, and even Torah is inappropriate. Okay. Right.
Talk, leave them. They couldn't daven. So leave them. They couldn't daven.
I'll bring it off my family. Yes, you go ahead.
So leave them.
You have a heart. Hey, touch. Go ahead.
So leave them.
Listen. I say this story. I really have to. Every story is.